Held Between Claws and Coats by Loneliest. Read by The Devil's Advocate 18. Shitty Dazai and his missions. Once again, Dazai Osamu sent his two subordinates, Atsushi Nakajima and Akutgawa Renosuke, on a job that he himself was supposed to do, but was too lazy to do so. At least, Akutgawa took it as Dazai seeing him as trustworthy enough to do this for him instead of thinking what Atsushi thinks. Dazai-san never does any of his paperwork or missions unless he absolutely has to, leaving us to do his dirty work. Although they both truly admired the man, it was easy to see when Dazai was using people for his own benefit. This mission was okay, to say the least. They had to find a man known as the Archivist. This said man can trap people inside of their own memories extracted from objects, which is what led Atsushi's breakdown afterwards. They had chased him through the alleyway even as he threw things their way. That was until he managed to hit Atsushi with a page of some newspaper, the newspaper about his headmaster. He became trapped in his memories, unable to wake up, unable to snap out of it. Akutgawa paused, waiting to get him out of there. Maybe he felt a little bad for the tiger boy, but he had to focus on the mission at hand. He knew he could finish it himself. He knew he could come back for the were-tiger afterwards, and he did. Akutgawa managed to pierce the man with his ability, Rashomon, and keep him somewhat alive until the armed forces came. Afterwards, he returned to Atsushi, who was still trapped in his own mind, filled with torturous thoughts. "I'm sorry I left you here for so long." He managed to say sorry. That was a first. He managed to find out that the only way to get out of their memories was to realize it was a memory. Before the mission, they had a few interviews, having them with people who had become victims of this ability user. The memories seemed real. They have to realize the flaws in it and get out. If they were able to snap out of the trance, snap out of the belief of what it was, that it was happening right now, they could escape. All they had to do was not let the memories define them. Or one person could go into the other's memories and get them out of it. That's what Akutgawa does. It's very unlikely Atsushi would be able to get out on his own. No. He was too naive. He was always dwelled up on the past, always pitying himself. It was downright annoying. No wonder your parents threw you away in the garbage. He couldn't do it. Atsushi couldn't manage. He was weak, but not the headmaster. No, who could blame the boy? What child would be able to put a nail through their own foot? He was just a kid. Akutgawa can see that, and so was he when he was getting abused. But Akutgawa doesn't see it that way. It wasn't abuse, just training. It's not comparable. "Jinko," he called out to him. Atsushi was standing there, letting tears fall from his eyes as he watched his own memories on display, unaware that they were even memories. It was like it was in real time. Agonizing screams of torture, pain, so much pain, blood began to drip. He shouldn't have to see this. He shouldn't have to relive his own trauma. Akutgawa remembers telling Atsushi often to just forget about it, to stop pitying himself. Maybe that was wrong, too harsh. No one can forget about something like this. Still, though, he believes Atsushi shouldn't dwell on the past. He should leave it behind him, not let it define him. Maybe it might be hypocritical to say, coming from him, but it wasn't wrong. Nothing could change what happened to Atsushi. "All you can do is push forward, Jinko." Akutgawa approached, putting a firm hand on his shoulder. "It's time to wake up, Jinko. It's time to wake up." That's not right. Akutgawa, he doesn't belong here. He doesn't know him back then. This isn't real. He's waking up, panting and crying. "Took you long enough, Jinko." Akutgawa was crouched beside him, and they were still in the dark alleyway. What? Did he get me? No. Did we fail the mission? You should have gone without me. Akutgawa doesn't waste time to cut him off, his tone sharp. I did. He already's been turned into the authorities. He'll pay. That's a relief. Now get up. Akutgawa lifts himself off but doesn't bother offering a hand. Instead, he dusts himself off, coughing into his hand. Atsushi stands, still shaken up and wobbly. Before Atsushi could even thank him, the other man is already starting walking away and back into the light that led back into the buzzing city. Atsushi followed suit. Usually they part ways, but now, for some reason, Akutgawa insists on staying around. Getting them some drinks after, they sit on a park bench. Atsushi, always quiet the entire time, that was unusual. Then he finally speaks up, his voice cracking. I'm sorry. I've been such a burden. You were right for leaving me behind and handling the mission first. I almost ruined everything. His mind was obviously spiraling the entire time, and now those memories were flooding his brain and he couldn't help but overthink. Couldn't help but feel like absolute shit. It was kind of annoying, the taller. He wanted to tell him to shut up and drink the damn soda he bought, but he remembered Dazai's words. You shouldn't be so insensitive, Akutgawa. Now who likes that? You're acting like an irrational fool, you know that, Jinko? What else was he supposed to say? Tell him that everything was okay and act like the world was all peaches and roses, sunshine and rainbows? You couldn't have ruined the mission. Don't you know what I'm here for? There would be no chance of that happening because I had no intention of letting Dazai-san down. I know you're strong, but I was still being a burden. I could have helped. It would have been way faster, and now, I'm sitting here crying like an idiot. Atsushi began to sob into his hands, and Akutgawa couldn't help but avoid eye contact. This was a little too awkward. Watching the were-tiger cry in front of him gave him a mix of emotions that he didn't want to feel or think about right now. He shouldn't care about Atsushi. He was insufferable, for goodness sake. All he did was whine and disrespect Dazai. He hated him. At least, that's what he tells himself. Get a hold of yourself. If you really don't want to be a burden, don't be such a weak fool with all your crying. Akutgawa rolled his eyes. Sassy much? His expression remained stoic, though, his eyes only slightly narrowing. He didn't frown, and he obviously didn't smile. The older couldn't bring himself to show any emotions right now, at least not with his face. Get a grip. I don't mean to do those things you said. I am really that weak. I must be. I shouldn't be with the detective agency. I shouldn't be Dazai's subordinate. You should be. Why me? I can't even help the agency. For fuck's sake. As much as Akutgawa wanted to agree with him, because yes, he also wondered why the hell him, and always thought he should be Dazai's #1 subordinate. He just couldn't bring himself to say anything like that. Not today, not after seeing what happened to Nakajima firsthand. Akutgawa groaned in annoyance. For fuck's sake, Jinko, you're perfect. What? I said, he hesitated, but what's the point? He's sure the were-tiger heard him perfectly fine the first time anyways. He can't say never mind now. I said you're perfect, the older admitted. Do you think the detective agency would have chose you if you weren't? Do you think Dazai would have chosen you if you weren't? He scoffed, running a slim, pale hand through his own hair. Do you think I would have? If I knew you weren't capable enough to work beside me, do you think I would have let Dazai force us into being partners if you really were that fucking pathetic? Atsushi swallowed hard. No, but Akutgawa cut him off quickly. Exactly, so shut up. Stop thinking about the shit that pathetic man told you, because in the end, he's the weak one. That's why he's the one who died, not you, Jinko. Did he really just say all that? He must have, because Atsushi's lips started to curl slightly into a stupidly foolish smile, and he was smiling at him, wiping his tears. He was sure if he was in his tiger form right now, his tail would fucking wag. Stop looking at me like that before I wipe that stupid smile off your face, Jinko. Now drink up. Akutgawa eyed the soda Atsushi held in his hand that had barely been drunken before abruptly turning away, coughing into his hand. Stupid Jinko, making him comfort him, making him call him perfect. Thank you, Atsushi mumbled, suddenly speaking up again. This might have been the longest time Atsushi had gone without speaking, so no wonder Akutgawa was surprised and irritated by his starting of a new conversation. What? Why are you thanking me? He narrowed his eyes, his beady black eyes, his faint eyebrows furrowing. For making me feel better. That was actually pretty nice of you, even if you could have said some things differently. The younger chuckled lightly, keeping that same warm smile on his face. It might have been familiar to the others, his smile, but it was like a treasure to Akutgawa because he'd seen it before, but never had been directed at him, not like this anyways. Maybe a few smug smirks, cocky fake smiles, half-assed ones, but nothing like this smile. Don't thank me for anything. I just did it because I wanted you to shut up. Your tears disgust me, and your sadness makes me want to barf. Be lucky I even said anything to you at all before criticizing my comfort techniques. I could have left you in those memories after all. Yeah, right, he wouldn't do that. Atsushi knows he wouldn't do that because, for one, he will practically do anything Dazai says, and one thing Dazai-san said was keep Atsushi safe. Plus, now he knew Akutgawa didn't have a cold heart. At least, it wasn't as cold as he thought. He didn't take all the time with a different approach with Atsushi for nothing. Yeah, right, sure, Akutgawa. Atsushi smiles, as warm as 1,000 suns, beaming directly down onto Akutgawa, and Akutgawa didn't like the sun much, hence the paleness, but this sun wasn't too bad. This was Held Between Claws and Coats by Loneliest, read by The Devil's Advocate 18. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time.